balance. And so what we've done is we've taken, I say, the guardrails off. We've taken the guardrails of life off, right? These things that keep us in this lane. And we say, well, why do you have to school Monday through Friday? Now, that's not my main focus. Right now, I'm looking at the children that God gave me, and I want to pour into them so they can be good people in the world. And then I can shift my focus. I want you to prioritize fun, and I want you to prioritize your relationship, because I am telling you that you doing that for 1 year, you're going to discover so much, one, about you, about yourself. Where are your faults? Where do you need to grow in patience? What type of things are you passionate about? You're going to this is going to invigorate you. And two, you're going to just let your children be children.
Hey girlie, my name is Wendy and I am a homeschooling stay-at-home mom of 4 little ones. And on this channel, I talk about all things homeschooling, homemaking, kids empowerment, and mommy self-care. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. I am so excited to have the mom, the myth, the legend, Heather Torres on with me today. I am interviewing her about some homeschooling myths, and let me just say, I'm so excited to have her on. She has been such an inspiration to me and just such a motivation that even as a homeschooling mom, that doesn't mean you have to give up on your dreams.
Let me just tell you a little bit about her before she tells you about her. She is a homeschooling mama, but not only that, she is also the COO of Think Media, and just bow down. I think she's amazing. So Heather, let me ask you the first question.
Great. I'm excited, Wendy. Thank you so much. I'm just excited to give value and be here and talk truth. I think sometimes, you want to hear the stuff, right? You're like, how did people do it? What are they doing? It was so hard for me because I'm like, can someone just tell me the truth? I just want to know, is this easy? That's where I'm here for that. So
Powerful. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes.
And how you got started on it.
Great introduction already. I'm like, what do I add? I am the COO. My career is in business. I have a career. So I'm a working homeschooling mom, and I've been a working homeschooling mom since we started homeschooling. But if I take it back a decade ago, I was not the woman that I am today. I was always career oriented. I'm always been an entrepreneur and very interested in business and in marketing, and especially the new tools that we have available to us, like the internet, like social media, like online business. So I've been fascinated with understanding how can I help people in that way. And then 10 years ago, I was the mom who had a nanny. I was the mom who put my kids in preschool as early as I could, because I didn't feel confident to be able to educate my children. And through different circumstances, my husband and I, he took a job we lived in Washington State. We moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. And when we made that move, I really started to think, is this a city I want to raise my children in? And it's a beautiful city, known for one thing only, but is definitely a thriving, large cultural city that I love so much. But our education system wasn't the best here. And so through moving to Las Vegas and really understanding that, wow, I have different choices and options that I didn't really know about, I started to go down this journey because of what I was teaching in my professional life. I was learning a lot about mindset shifting and a lot about unthinking the things that we already know and rethinking new things. And through that, I started to really dive into kind of this overwhelming ocean of the understanding of how children actually learn and what models have been presented to us, and that we actually do have other options. And so I decided to go on this crazy journey of researching. I'm a huge researcher. I want all the facts. I want all the figures. I'm like, can they graduate high school? If I failed, what happens to me? All these kind of things I really wanted to know. And through that, I just started to learn that, wow, I'm passionate about learning certain things and I love diving into it. Wow, my children are just a younger version of that. And so how can I foster creativity and curiosity and imagination and not have them lose that? Because in my professional life, I'm really really coaching and training people to step out of their comfort zone and do things. And then I look back and I'm like, well, what if we just taught kids that? And then they would be adults that are already doing that, right? So that's kind of where those two things happened. And so I jumped in full feet into homeschooling by buying all of the curriculum, making all of the schedules, getting all of the boxes, and completely failing. Completely failing because I thought I could bring school home, and that I could be their teacher, and I could work, and I could make all this happen. And my children are children. And so they didn't want to sit down. They did not want to listen to what I was saying. And I thought, how can a teacher do this with 20 kids? And I can't even handle 2. At the time I had 2, now I have 3. And so we've been through such a journey in homeschooling. I can't wait to dive into some more of your questions about it. But it really, for me, it has been a journey. And every year is different because every year our kids get older. We've brought another child into our home. And so we had the dynamics of what that looked like. And so for us, homeschooling, getting here, doing what we're doing what I'm doing professionally has been a decade journey all in itself. So what do? I homeschool my kids. I help people around the world learn how to use video and share their messages online. And I have a wonderful husband, and that's pretty much my life. And that's what I do.
Well, that sounds like a full, beautiful life.
Yes, it is.
So how old are your little ones?
Yeah, so it's crazy. They're not even that little anymore, which is so weird to me. So I have one that's going to be turning 13 in a couple weeks. I have an 11-year-old, and then I have an 8-year-old. So we're past the preschool, early elementary. I have 2 that are in middle school. So my 2 olders are in middle school, and my youngest son is in grade school, but at a very advanced level in different things. So it's been an interesting dynamic. But yeah, we're at kind of heading into what people think are the scary years, but for me, what I think are going to be probably the most thriving and fun years. Yeah.
Yes. The ability to just dive into everything that they love and are interested in. Ooh. Yes. That is so exciting. How do you balance career and homeschooling?
Yeah. Wow.
How do you do it?
Man, I love that you said debunk the myth, because the myth is that you can't do it all, right? The myth is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have both. So you can't, one without the other. You're either going to be a guilt-ridden mother in your career going and advancing, or you're going to not live out your dreams and devote all of your time and energy into your children. And I think this is such a huge myth because one of the things is actually how we even envision what homeschooling is. And for our family, we've really dedicated to lifelong learning, meaning that our kids are just involved in our lives. And my husband and I have made it it is part of what we do. It's a commitment that we've made, that it's not about just schooling our children, making sure we're hitting the boxes and all of those things. It's about having them along the journey. And so how do I do it all? One, I don't do it alone. So number one is if you're sitting in that place and you're like, man, I have something tugging on my heart. I know I need to share this message. I know these people need me in this way, and I want to grow this career. I need money for the mission, right? I know I want to be funding my dreams. I want my kids to live a better life than I lived. All of those things are real, and we need to honor those because that is a God-given thing that we've been given to bring to the world. And so to say you need to lay down your career to become a homeschool mom, I don't believe that's true. But if you're trying to do it all alone, it's going to take longer to climb the mountain. That's just the truth. And so I don't do this alone. I've sacrificed things like I don't eat out very often. I don't go to Starbucks very often. I pretty much wear the same 5 shirts all the time because you only need from here up on video. And I'm wearing sweatpants right now in this interview. Let's be real. I did my hair and makeup, but I've still got sweatpants on. I've sacrificed a lot. We live very simply so that we can employ people around us. So we support other small businesses. I have a wonderful company that comes in and cleans my house. Why? I don't really want to do that. And I would rather spend my time either with my children or with the people that I'm helping in my business. And so we don't do this alone. We actually don't even school our children. I'll put that in air quotes. We don't school our children alone either. We have experts around us that we employ or that we help our children use, I guess, like in the guidance of what they want to do. One of my sons is very interested in dogs, right? And one of our friends is a professional dog trainer. So he's learning all of this stuff about anatomy and about canines. And, he's really interested and fascinated in how dogs learn. And so I'm not teaching him how to do that. Our friend is teaching him. Now, is there a curriculum? No, because not everything in life comes with a curriculum. Not everything in life comes with worksheets. And so when we can set ourselves out of that paradigm, that's when you're able to technically do it all. One of the other myths is that you should have work-life balance. I think this is something that's put on us, especially as women and especially as mothers, that we need to have balanced amount of time with our children and in our careers, or with our husbands and with our children. And I actually think that's false. I think it's about the quality of time that you're spending with each other, not the quantity, because I can be sitting with my kids all day on my phone scrolling Instagram while I should be hanging out with them, or I could spend intentional time for 10 minutes, a half hour, one day, a whole week, whatever that intentional time is, and actually pour into them. Same thing with my career. We're in the middle of planning one of the largest live events that'll be happening online. I'm pretty busy right now. And so right now my kids are on break. Why? Because I don't have the time to be putting them there. Does that make sense? So It's all about the balance. And so what we've done is we've taken, I say, the guardrails off. We've taken the guardrails of life off, right? These things that keep us in this lane. And we say, well, why do you have to school Monday through Friday? Did anyone say you couldn't school on Saturday? Or like, why do you have to, why can't you school, July through April and then take 3 months off? Like, what if you only did science for one whole month and didn't touch it the rest of the year? Like, all of these things, we really evaluated what was the why behind them. And so back to your question, I'm gonna loop it back around. How do I do it all? I reset the framework of what I and my husband, what we value and what we want our children to learn. That's number one. So yes, we follow all of our state guidelines, and yes, we teach beyond what the guidelines are, but we don't necessarily teach it in the same format or structure that you would get in a traditional education. And then two, I don't do this alone. I make sure that I have a team around me. I have someone that helps me with my calendar and organization. We have someone that helps us clean the house. My husband retired from his career to be home to then now is working in the family business that we're doing. And so we've really structured our lives to just be a fluid, a fluidity of balance, rather than, I'm going to work from 9 to 2. And it's like, we've very much made it just how we live. And learning happens all the time. And it doesn't always have to come from me. That, I think, is one of the biggest mindset shifts I had to have with homeschooling, is that my daughter right now is watching artists on YouTube, learning how to do a technique that she's then going to do probably for the next 3 hours. And I value that. And I tell her that's valuable. And just because it's outside of the context of reading, writing, language arts, science, or STEM, doesn't mean that it's not valuable. So I think we've really just restructured how we think and what we do, and that I don't do it alone. And then lastly, because here's my longest answer ever. I'm sorry, Wendy, but this is so critical.
You're answering all my questions. You're doing great.
Okay. My last part would be the timeline of when we think we can do things. For me, I understand that I'm at a part in my career where I'm blown away, but that I'm even here at the age that I'm at, and the things that we're doing, unbelievable with the impact we're having on the world. However, I would rather sacrifice that part of it, growing faster, sooner, if it meant that it's going to take away me from being able to pour into my children. I think that the dreams that we have, they probably outlive us. And so while Tony Robbins said, we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10. And I think if I just stayed at this pace and I devoted myself right now more so to my children rather than my career, which is what I'm doing, I have projects that are on hold that I'm just not going to touch yet, because I know that the dream is still there, and that in a decade, when they're gone and could care less what mom's doing, I'm going to write those books, I'm going to host those events, I'm going to make those courses, I'm going to impact women around the world in an entirely different way. But I'm okay that right now, that's not my main focus. Right now, I'm looking at the children that God gave me, and I want to pour into them so they can be good people in the world. And then I can shift my focus. So I think that's a big part of it too, is that if you have that dream right now, start taking action. Don't not take action in some way, but just understand that sometimes when there's massive, fast growth, that might not be the healthiest thing for you. And just evaluate, where's your focus? Where are you actually pouring energy and time into it? So I hope that was, that's Heather's long answer of all the things I could talk about that I'm super passionate about.
That is amazing. Like, I mean, so much knowledge, so much just truth about what it's really like to be a homeschooling mom. Love it. Now, when you say, for a mom who's just getting into this and really just looking at all the different myths and all the different things, how would a working mom mindset, how would you have her approach this tug that she's feeling when it comes to homeschool?
Yeah, so I think this is in two different ways. Like, say it's a working mom right now. This is what I'm thinking you're asking. She's working mom right now, and she's like, I think I'm going to homeschool. Like, what does that look like? Exactly. Now, here's one thing. Are you working inside the home or outside the home? Because if you can still homeschool and employ people around you. Like, there's probably a nanny right now that could absolutely take care of all the homeschool. I have a friend who's in North Carolina. They're choosing not to send their children back to school. They're hiring a teacher who used to be a preschool teacher to actually do all of the homeschool stuff. And she's going to do all the fun stuff, like the experiments and the field trips and like all that kind of stuff. She's like, I've just chosen that's what I'm going to dedicate, and I'm going to have someone else. So I would think about what thinking outside the box is a big thing. You don't have to employ people. That's not where I'm saying everyone has to go to. But I would just be thinking, okay, well, if you're working from home, school does not have to happen from 9 to 3. School
louder,
can happen,
Heather,
right? Like, yes, it does not have, like, we have, I don't know, Wendy, did you go to public school or private school?
Public school.
Public school. I went to public school. We only know one model. And so for us, we're like, well, of course school happens Monday through Friday from 9 to 3, and you got to do all the different subjects, and you got to color in the things, and no, you don't have to do that. Like, one thing I want you to do, if you are deciding to move from public school into homeschool for the first year, here's what I want you to do. Love on your children. What is fun? That's what I want you to prioritize, fun. And I want you to prioritize your relationship, because I am telling you that you doing that for 1 year, you're going to discover so much, one, about you, about yourself. Where are your faults? Where do you need to grow in patience? What type of things are you passionate about? You're going to this is going to invigorate you. And two, you're going to just let your children be children. And we think that if it's not being graded and if it's not being up against some standard, that it doesn't matter. I am telling you, your children playing with Legos, your children watching Sesame Street, they are learning. Your children going with you to the grocery store or going to the post office or typing on the computer, they're learning. And we just think that it needs to be cramming their brains full of knowledge. And it's like, as adults, we don't even like that. And I don't want to do that. No. So just really be thinking, if you're going to be shifting, relationship first, fun second, because those two things are really important. Now, if you're like, well, what curriculum do I choose and what does this do? Here's what I want you to do. Start reading to your kids.
Yeah.
Start reading, read a book, pick up 4 books. One could be about history. One could be Little House on the Prairie. One could be about a dog. It doesn't matter. Start reading, because here's what's going to happen. They're going to start asking questions. And that is where the spark happens. Being able to have conversations and think about things. And you'll read a book like, we read Where the Red Fern Grows. They're talking all about they're hunting and they're doing all these things. And it brought up all these questions about kids and guns. And, in some countries it's okay. It just brought up so many things. And then we found a curriculum to support around what they were interested in. We found geography. We pulled up a map. You don't need to have a whole geography lesson. Just grab a map and be like, this book that we're reading is about India. Look how cool India is. Look at all these places. it'll just spark stuff. And I would wish that so many homeschool moms or new moms to homeschooling would understand that it's not about the curriculum. Like, I hope I can say this so loud and clear, because this is where I failed so hard. And you have to just know that curriculum is there to support what you're learning. The curriculum is not there to be the end all be all, because you probably won't get through every lesson. They probably won't understand everything in it. It's just a support to draw out more of the curiosity. If you can prioritize that, you will have a successful homeschool year. When it goes south is when we overpack into our days, the things we think we're going to get done, or when our expectations of what they should be learning is up here and what they actually learn is like right here. Yeah. And so it's this gap that we feel like we're failing, because we're not hitting this lid of the expectation of whoever we've put as the thing or the person or whatever it is. So how do you win? Prioritize the relationship with your child. Spend time with them. Play games. Watch movies. You will not ruin your children by doing that. I promise they will be better human beings. And have fun. You know how many moms are not fun? It is insane to me how many moms are not fun. Like, let the dishes go, stop doing the laundry, have fun with your kids, play dress up, do art, go for a nature hike, like go have fun. You're only going to have them in your home for 18 years and it's going to go like that. So that's my advice for new homeschool moms.
That's all that needs to be said. Mm-hmm. Enjoy them. Enjoy this experience. You're not going to ruin them.
Yeah.
We're telling you, you're not going to ruin them.
And I was so worried that I was going to. I'm like, well, what if my daughter doesn't finish all the level reading books that she has for 4th grade? Or like, what if oh no, we have to do math today, because if we don't, then we're going to get behind 2 lessons. And here's what I had to throw out. We had a huge life change happen with this thing that's happening in our what is this called? Pandemic. With the pandemic that's happening. Huge life change. Our business exploded. And I was working like 80-hour weeks because we were just pouring into people so much. We wanted people to win in their careers. And so I was, my kids were not doing the math they needed to, like, we just had to shift everything we were doing. And I thought, oh my gosh, am I failing? And then I thought, I'm behind on whose standards? Like, the people you know what I mean? Like, who am I comparing myself to? And my kids, like, they're going to learn what they're going to learn at the age that they're at. We cannot think that 2 12-year-olds or 2 13-year-olds or 2 2-year-olds are going to learn the same things. Exactly. There's something about the idea that when a child is like younger, like as a toddler, they learn to eat at different times and walk at different times, and they have different sleep schedules, and one's more of a picky eater than another. Like, it's okay for toddlers to be different, but at some point we get to like age 5 and everyone has to do the same thing all the time, or you're behind. Or if you're a little bit smarter in certain areas, you've been gifted like a brain that works in a different way. Like, I see design differently than my husband. That all of a sudden means that you're now more advanced. On whose standards? So those are the things you have to just realize as you go into this new journey. Think about what box are you putting yourself into, and what's the level that you're like, onto whose standards am I judging myself on right now?
It's true. It's powerful, and it's true, and it's fact. Amazing. Just amazing. That's all I'm going to say. That's amazing. So, if anyone is seeking to connect with you and wants to support you and wants to follow you on this journey to empower moms and empower people, where can they find you?
Okay, so I do have a YouTube channel where I post. That's kind of just a place that I love to post videos about homeschooling. You can just search on YouTube Heather Homeschool and everything will come up, or go to Google and search Heather Homeschool and everything will come up. Instagram, I'm at Miss Heather Torres. That's where I really share the behind the scenes, the day-to-day, kind of the day in the life stuff, new books that we're reading, all of that kind of stuff. And I share a lot of other homeschooling moms who are doing amazing things. So that's a great place. And then career-wise, if you're like, hey, I want to get on this train of whatever she's teaching, that's over at Think Media. It's one of our main YouTube channels that we have, where you can learn all about what Wendy's doing, which is this, like getting on video, connecting with people, creating a community, and getting her message to the world. So that's where I'm at, and that's where you can find me. And I love helping moms. I know this is scary. I know that stepping into something new can be really hard. And I want you to know there's a community here for you. Wendy's putting a community together, and there's already so many veteran homeschool moms that have gone before us. They've made homeschool not weird anymore, so you can get over that part of it. And because of all of the amazing work that's been done by the amazing homeschool parents before us, our children have more opportunities now than ever to connect with each other and to change the world. Because remember, we are raising up the next generation, and we want them to be trailblazers into the new world that is being created for them. So I just want to honor you for stepping into that and for knowing that your children matter and their education matters. And I'm just really excited for all the things you have in your life ahead of you.
Thank you so much, Heather. And that's it. That's all.
That's it. Yay! Awesome. That was fun.
It really, really was. Like, I learned so much. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna be writing all
Sometimes I'm too intense, and I'm like, whatever. It's just who I am.
Is that a thing? Can you be too intense?
I know.
Like, it's not a thing.
So, so I don't know what else. This is an interview. Stay tuned. Watch it.